While it appears former President Jacob Zuma may not be in jail or in a jail cell tomorrow night, the Constitutional Court is considering his application to have his 15-month prison term rescinded. The unprecedented matter will be heard on the 12th of July. Attorney Melusi Xulu joins me now from Durban for more on this matter. Melusi, thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm hoping you can provide some clarity. We're in such uncharted waters. I mean, there are differing legal opinions on whether or not Jacob Zuma must report to prison. What is that process? Should he go to prison come Sunday?
Okay, for now, the Constitutional Court has stated that it will hear his application to rescind the matter on the 12th of July. So, for now, he's not required to go there. It doesn't mean that he will no longer be required to go after the application is done, because if in the application they say his rescission application fails, then he must still go to prison. So for now, they just want to hear his application, and then that is why he's also asked that Pietermaritzburg High Court that on Monday, I think on the 6th of July, that the matter is also heard that there's a stay of execution of the order that he must be sentenced, and there must be also an interdict against the Minister of Police and the Commissioner not to take him to prison. So for now, it's just a matter of hearing his application for rescission of the matter.
Well, you're speaking about the application. Can his application fail? This, given that the State Capture Commission will be opposing Zuma's application for the Constitutional Court to rescind its judgment.
Okay. Before we look at can it fail, I think it's important for us to look at what he's raising in his papers, because what he's raising is that it's an unprecedented that when a matter is a contempt of court order, which is a criminal matter, it goes straight to the Constitutional Court as a court of first instance. So now he's raising the fact that in terms of Section 12 of the Constitutional Court, his right to freedom cannot be arbitrarily denied or stopped. And also, he cannot be detained without trial. So those are one of the things he's raising, including a right to a fair trial. So maybe we'll hear how they'll oppose that, because it's the first time that it has happened in our law. But if it fails, and I don't know whether it will fail, but if it fails, he's raised a very two paragraphs on his affidavit. I think it's paragraph 105, where he says, in case my application fails, I ask that I make a mitigation on my sentence based on my health, because he states that he's sick. So I think there he will apply one of the well-known cases when it comes to sentencing, which is S versus Zin, where we must look at the personal circumstances of the accused, the interest of the society as well, and the crime that he has committed. But remember, I first started by saying we in this particular case, we have not had a trial. It's just that there was a contempt of order that to say he violated, but the fact is there was no trial to begin with.
I hear you, Melusi, but did the Constitutional Court also not give Mr. Zuma an opportunity to make submissions on the nature of sentence? And when he decided not to take up that opportunity, then he lost, in fact, that space where you could say, I am of a later age, I do have health matters to consider, and based on the fact that I do have fragile health, I am an older citizen in this country, therefore I feel like the Constitutional Court judgment should be X, or maybe a suspended sentence, as opposed to not saying anything at all. So that opportunity to say something, was that not the right time to say, I'm of ill health, I'm an older citizen?
Okay. Before we go down to the Constitution, let's remember the Commissions Act. It is specific that if you violate if you don't come to court, you will be then a case will be opened for you not coming to the commission, which I think the sentence there is 6 months or 1,000 rand. So before it was supposed to go to the Constitutional Court, there is a school of thought that says at least the matter should have been first canvassed in the lower courts as a criminal trial first. So what he's raising in the papers in reference to that is raising the fact that at the time there was also an application that he made for recusal of the chairperson. So he was confused whether should he first go to the Constitutional Court because he was still the very same person that is applying for him to come to the commission. He's also applied for him to be recused. So he's raising that fact and the fact that he was having another criminal trial that he had to attend and he had changed lawyers. But we will look at what the lawyers or the advocates of the commission will raise, and then we'll hear whether the Constitutional Court will rescind the order that it made this week.
And as you're saying that we are definitely in uncharted waters, as many analysts, Melusi, have said that we're in unprecedented times, does the ambit of the law, has it evolved enough? I mean, it's supposed to be alive as many, circumstances and cases get, find a way of evolving the law in itself. The ambit of the law, has it evolved enough to be able to accommodate this kind of phenomena that we're facing right now?
In my opinion, I don't think it can be evolved to that position, because let us remember that when we look at this particular case, I think it's important to look at the former president as an accused person who has constitutional rights, and not in a manner that we might say it's someone that you like or you don't like. For us to apply the law and to look at it fairly, let's look at the constitutional rights that apply to that particular person, not because of an individual. So in this case, let us ask ourselves, was a trial held? Did we have a trial in this matter? Well, does it have a right to appeal when the decision that is made is not in his favor? Because if you look at the constitutional rights again in Section 35, you have a right to have your matter tried and heard, then you have a right to have that particular criminal matter being appealed. But now when it goes straight to the Constitutional Court and those very rights, which are your constitutional rights, are floated, then it becomes a problem. So it's uncharted waters, but are we evolved enough to contravene or ignore the constitutional rights? I don't think the development of constitutional rights should be to that position. They should be developed to protect the constitutional right, not to violate the constitutional right. That's my opinion on that.
Yeah, and when we're looking at where we are again when it comes to the law, many people are asking, what does this mean for our judiciary? What does this mean for our justice system? Especially now what we're finding is that, I mean, the apex court, the highest court in the land, now we're having a to and fro, back and forth between the apex court as well as the former head of state, Jacob Zuma. So the status right now of our justice system, it does not necessarily beg or serve a lot of confidence to the rest of us South Africans who are looking at it and thinking, what is going on in this country?
I think the beauty of law and looking at the judiciary is that the judiciary or the judges are human beings. And if we accept that maybe at time they can make errors, because if we take cases from district court, regional court, high court, Supreme Court of Appeal, because of the errors that the judges have made there, it means we accept that the judges can make mistakes. But in this particular instance, it's just to rescind the orders that were made, and then we look at the application of the constitutional rights of the former president. And then I believe at this point, what is interesting, not just for constitutional law aspect, but for us as a country, is to test the constitutional court and how the rights of the accused are applied in relation to the right to a fair trial.
Melusi Xulu, we leave it there, our attorney, giving us the latest analysis on that matter.